They didn't know anyone was watching, but what they did went viral. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel again. Thank y'all so much for coming over. Uh, you know, when you see titles like this, it could be a hit or a miss, but hopefully it's something very positive, uplifting, and heartwarming. So we ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
When Yaki Hornbach decided to spend that Thursday afternoon dog-sitting for a friend, she had no idea she was about to witness something that would touch millions of hearts across the country. She was simply enjoying the pleasant weather when movement across the street caught her attention. A funeral procession was slowly making its way into the cemetery, and what she saw these two boys do would restore faith in humanity for countless people.
All right.
Jackie found herself drawn to her window as she watched the solemn ceremony unfold. The funeral was for 89-year-old Charles Everett Yorn, a United States Army veteran who had served his country with honor and later worked for Hillram. This man had lived a full life, leaving behind 6 children, 16 grandchildren, 36 great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-grandchildren. His legacy was one of service, dedication, and respect. As the ceremony progressed, Jackie noticed the haunting melody of taps beginning to echo through the air. The bugle call, traditionally played at military funerals, carried with it the weight of honor and remembrance. It was at this exact moment that something extraordinary was about to unfold. Down the street, 2 young boys were making their way home on their bicycles. 8-year-old Lane Moody and 9-year-old Cristiano Barajas had been enjoying what seemed like any other day, cruising through their neighborhood without a care in the world. They had no connection to the veteran being laid to rest, no knowledge of his service or sacrifice, and certainly no idea that anyone was watching them. But then they heard it. The unmistakable sound of taps drifting through the air stopped them in their tracks. What these 2 boys did next was nothing short of remarkable, and it happened so naturally that it seemed almost instinctive. Without any discussion, without any prompting from adults, and without knowing that a stranger across the street was about to capture their actions, both boys immediately stopped riding their bikes. They carefully dismounted, positioned themselves respectfully, and stood in complete silence with their hands folded behind their backs as the military tribute continued. Jackie watched in amazement from her window. Here were 2 children who had been interrupted during what was probably just another fun afternoon bike ride. Yet they instinctively knew exactly what to do. There was no hesitation, no looking around to see if anyone was watching, no discussion about whether they should stop. They simply recognized the significance of the moment and responded with pure, genuine respect. The scene was so moving that Jackie couldn't resist reaching for her camera. She knew she was witnessing something special, something that deserved to be remembered and shared. As she snapped the photo, she felt overwhelmed with pride for these 2 young men she had never met. After the ceremony concluded and the boys continued on their way home, Jackie found herself thinking about what she had just witnessed. In a world that often seems filled with negativity and division, here was a moment of pure goodness. 2 children had shown more respect and understanding than many adults demonstrate in similar situations. Initially, Jackie debated whether to share the photo at all. She wondered if posting it might seem intrusive or inappropriate. But as she reflected on the current state of the world, with all its challenges and
like this is the stuff we need to see, what needs to be posted. You know, I'm just wondering, do they come from like a military background? Because for them to just stop and just stand there so still right there, you know, that just seemed like something that has been instilled in their brains.
Activity dominating headlines, she realized this story needed to be told. People needed to see that there was still hope, still kindness, still respect being taught and demonstrated by the youngest members of society. So she decided to post the image on social media, along with her heartfelt observations about the boys' actions. Her caption read, "Their parents should be so proud, and I'm sure the serviceman was in heaven smiling down on them." She added that while she had debated sharing the moment, she felt it was needed given all the negative things happening in the world. What happened next exceeded every expectation Jackie could have had. The post began spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. People from all over the country started sharing the image. commenting with their own expressions of admiration and hope. The story struck a chord that resonated far beyond what anyone could have anticipated, but the most touching response came from an unexpected source. A user named Kendra Yorn Pearson left a comment that brought the entire story full circle. She wrote simply, "That was my grandpa's funeral. Thank you so much to those two young boys." The connection between the veteran's family and the respectful young strangers created an even more powerful narrative. Here was proof that small acts of kindness and respect don't go unnoticed, even when we think no one is watching. The veteran's granddaughter had seen the tribute paid to her grandfather by two boys who had never met him, and it meant the world to her family during their time of grief. Soon, the viral post reached even more special people. Edgar Barajas and Sean Moody both left comments on the post, identifying the boys as their own sons. Edgar proudly claimed Cristiano, while Sean acknowledged Lane as his boy. For these parents, seeing their children's respectful behavior recognized by thousands of strangers was an incredible moment of validation. Sean's comment particularly stood out to many who read it. He wrote, "I always wonder if anything I say sinks in. Obviously more than I thought."
Yeah.
His words captured something every parent can relate to. That constant question of whether the values we try to instill in our children are actually taking hold. Seeing his 8-year-old son demonstrate such natural respect without any adult guidance was proof that his parenting efforts were working in ways he never expected. When local news station WTHR reached out to interview Sean, he described feeling totally amazed when he first saw the photo of Lane. He explained that their family has several military veterans, which helped explain why the boys understood the significance of what they were witnessing. But even with that background, Sean was struck by how automatic and natural their response had been. Lane himself, when asked about why he stopped, gave an answer that was both simple and profound. "When people die, you have to at least respect," the 8-year-old explained matter-of-factly. His reasoning was so straightforward yet so wise that it highlighted just how naturally children can understand concepts that adults sometimes struggle with. Cristiano, the 9-year-old, described their decision with equal simplicity. "We were just riding our bikes home, and I looked over and I seen soldiers, so we stopped." To him, there was no question about what they should do. The presence of military personnel at a funeral automatically triggered his understanding that this was a moment requiring reverence. The boys also mentioned hearing the music, referring to the haunting melody of taps that had initially caught their attention. "Since we heard music playing, I just thought we could expect it," one of them explained, showing how they connected the audio cue with the appropriate behavioral response. What made this story even more remarkable was Jackie's observation about how naturally it all unfolded. During her interview with Fox News, she emphasized that the boys' actions happened without any prompting or knowledge of anyone watching. She noted that it was as if they didn't even have to discuss it before doing it. They knew that's just what you do when you come across this. It was so natural for them. This spontaneous nature of their respect made the moment infinitely more powerful. In a world where many actions are performed for social media or recognition, these boys acted purely from their hearts, with no audience in mind except their own conscience. As the story continued to spread, it reached news outlets across the nation. Television stations, newspapers, and online publications all picked up the heartwarming tale of two boys who stopped everything to honor a stranger. Each retelling emphasized the same themes: respect, honor, and the hope that such values still exist in younger generations. The impact extended far beyond just feel-good social media content. Parents began sharing the story with their own children as an example of proper behavior. Veterans organizations highlighted it as proof that military service and sacrifice are still valued and understood, even by the youngest members of society. Educators used it as a teaching moment about respect, empathy, and doing the right thing when no one is watching. For Charles Everett Yorn's family, the widespread attention brought an unexpected comfort during their time of mourning. Instead of their patriarch's funeral being remembered only by family and friends, his final tribute had been witnessed and honored by two young strangers whose respectful gesture touched millions of people worldwide. The boys themselves seemed somewhat amazed by all the attention their simple act of respect had generated. They had done what felt right in the moment, never imagining that their decision to stop and show reverence would inspire countless others to reflect on their own values and behavior. This story serves as a powerful reminder that character is truly revealed when no one is watching. These two boys, thinking they were unobserved, chose respect over convenience, honor over hurry. Their natural response to witnessing a military funeral shows that the values of respect, honor, and reverence for those who served our country are alive and well in the next generation. In a time when negative news dominates headlines and social division seems everywhere, this moment of pure goodness cut through all the noise. It reminded millions of people that there is still hope, still kindness, and still respect being demonstrated by young Americans who understand that some moments require us to pause, reflect, and honor those who came before us.
It started to get a little repetitive, what they were saying, but yes, indeed, this is what needs to be shown, what needs to be heard, what needs to be seen. I tell you all the time, there's so much negativity in the world, you know, but moments like this need to be like at the top, you know. This is what happens when you raise your kids right. The first thing that kids should be knowing is like respect, because you go places and you see kids like, I'll go places, man, and like you'll be standing in line somewhere, and I just got kids stepping on my shoes, pulling on my pants, and the parents won't say nothing until you give them that look. Like, you better get your child before I get your child. You know what I mean? Like, people really, and like I mentioned before, there's a lot of kids raising kids. Some people just let their kids just all willy-nilly. Kids are going to be kids. But if you teach them respect, they'll know like boundaries they shouldn't be crossing, even at a young age. Because you hit a certain age, you know right from wrong. Well, shout out to this video. Appreciate you guys coming over and watching, man. I was hoping that they were going to say, like, even though the kids were doing it just to do it, they should have got something, man, because you don't see this all the time. All right, peace out.